In episode number 198, 2 episodes away from 200, we are getting close. But on today's episode, we cover Sega's Sonic video game for next year. What's it going to be? What's our speculation?
We're also going to cover the very unexpected cancellation of Batman Return to Arkham. That was just announced this week. It was supposed to come out next month.
Less than a month ago they announced it, and it's already being canceled. Yeah, it's supposed to come out next month and gone. Why?
Wow.
We'll find out. But we also have a brand new rebirth titled The Flash #1. First appearances, maybe, maybe not. Origin story for sure.
All of this and so much more on today's show.
Hello and welcome to the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, bringing you the reasons we're broke, ranging from comics, movies, TV, video games, and more. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Kelly.
For any new listeners out there, the way the format goes is first we cover some news ranging again from comics all the way to video games, television, and more. And then we follow it up with some comic book highlights for the week. This week we've got 2 comics we're going to cover and review.
I'm going to start out with the most important news this week, though. Nintendo released Rhythm Heaven Megamix. And I said, you know what? I don't have time for video games. I don't need this Megamix thing. I don't have time. And then Nintendo said, but Kelly, there's a demo. And I was like, it's my day off. I have some time. I'll just download the demo. We'll see what it's all about. And then I bought it.
Hours later, you had already your Nintendo card, fucking put that code into the 3DS, and it was downloading as we were reading comics.
Yes. And it's amazing.
$30 for a 3DS title, not bad, and not bad for a title that we didn't think was going to make it to North America.
Mm-hmm. I knew it was going to make it.
I wasn't so sure, and they kind of went the safe route, and it seems to be the route they're going with a lot of these middle-of-the-road titles, like Phoenix Wright, like Rhythm Heaven. Put it up digitally. People that want the game will buy the game, and then they'll save on the physical cost. You're the same way as I am. You would have liked to have a Rhythm Heaven on the shelf to look at.
I would have, and not even to look at. I don't know. I just like them on the shelf better. I always think if something happens to my 3DS, that game is gone. That $30 is gone. You know, with the things on the shelf, I can keep the systems. I still have some of my old Game Boy Color games, and when I'm feeling nostalgic, I can pop that in there. I don't know. I prefer to have the cartridge. Same with my N64 games. Yes, I could get Pokemon Snap digitally on the Wii Universe, or whatever you call it. But I would much rather hook up my N64, figure out where the yellow and the blue and the white cords go so that you can get the audio in the picture, and blow into it like 40 times and slam it in there.
I didn't know until years later that blowing into the NES cartridges and the 64 cartridges was actually awful for the cartridge.
Oh yeah, of course it is.
You weren't supposed to do it.
But that's what everybody did.
Everyone did it, and then you had to like slam it in
yes.
at an angle, and then boom, like slam it in there, so it like super locked, I guess, in our minds. I don't know, it just happened to work that way. And even my parents told me like you have to blow the dust off so it reads it. But what's actually happening is you're blowing saliva and
more
moisture
dust
into the cartridge itself. What you're supposed to do, and this is what I learned when I worked at GameStop, is you take a bit of like a cotton, what do they call it, like an ear?
A Q-tip?
A Q-tip.
You're not supposed to stick it in your ears. It says on the box, don't use for ears.
What are those called? Like, that's one of those products that people just call Q-tips, but you know there's a name for it.
Oh, it's a cotton swab.
A cotton swab. Just like Kleenex, but they're tissues.
Yeah.
But people call them Kleenex.
Good for Kleenex, though, and good for Q-tips.
Cotton swabs. Swabs on a plastic stick? I don't know.
No, they're just called cotton swabs.
Cotton swabs.
That's the name.
You take one of those, dip it into rubbing alcohol, and then you clean the teeth of the cartridge.
Well.
And that's supposed to keep it really nice for a while.
Or you could just blow into it.
And then slam it into the fucking
console.
That's what I do. That's what I did too.
I was gonna... Blowing solves all your problems.
And it obviously worked back in the day when you were playing Mario Kart 64.
Yes.
When you were playing that title thinking that holding the banana behind you would make you go faster. Remember we talked about this poll that we were holding with our listeners on Twitter?
Yes.
I have the results here, and for any new listeners that are just tuning in, I want to let them know
Can I give them the results, please? It was my poll.
Well, it's your poll, but you're gonna skew the results.
I'm not gonna skew the results.
You would make.
But the answer is banana yes, guys. Don't listen to him. Banana yes.
You would make an excellent politician.
I would.
Read off the question. Like, what was the question on this poll, and what did you think? Explain why you thought holding a banana behind your cart
Does holding a banana behind your cart in Mario Kart 64 make you go faster? Hashtag banana yes or hashtag banana no. And the answer is hashtag banana yes. Because the banana makes you slip a little faster.
Slip forward.
Yes.
Is what you were thinking.
Yes, you slip forward.
Somehow magically. All right, well, I've got the results here. What did Brokettes think? Banana yes got 30% of the votes. Hashtag banana no got 70% of the votes. And one of those votes was you.
You know what? I'm allowed to vote in my own poll, okay? Thank you. I am allowed to vote. I am the only voice that matters here. And second, those 70% are just in denial because they were bad at Mario Kart 64 because they didn't hold a banana behind them.
So those 70% would lose to you in Mario Kart and to everyone else that did not hold?
All of them would lose against me because I would be holding that banana and slipping through the finish line.
I want to know who voted banana yes because you weren't the only vote in that.
That's fine. Good job. Whoever voted banana yes, you are now the Twitter friend. I will follow no one else.
Where can they follow you or find you on Twitter?
At Palpa Kelli.
So I'm on the side of banana no here. Sorry, Palpa Kelli.
That's only because you lost to me in Mario Kart 64, and you were sad.
So you're saying a rematch needs to happen where I actually hold a banana behind me, and then I'll be able to beat you.
No, I will still win.
then either way I lose, whether I hold a banana or not.
Do you not know what marriage is? Have you not learned this in the almost 2 years we've been married?
Marriage Kart 64.
Marriage Kart 64. I want someone to make this. This is great. And the male player always loses.
Always loses.
And then you have to... What would, the attack items be?
Pregnancy.
Cars breaking down.
A money suck. Just the money sucking option takes your coins.
This is amazing.
Old age would be another one. Insecurity.
Gaining weight.
That would slow you down quite a bit.
It would. But if you had the banana, you could go a little bit faster.
A little bit faster, yeah.
You did post something else on Twitter.
And Facebook.
That's
where it really blew up.
Yeah, it did blow up on... Anyway, so you were very active on the Twitter this week.
Yeah, on my days off, I was just like, fuck it, let me push some buttons on people's.
That is not uncommon.
No,
is that
not.
Something else that you get in Marriage Cart? Like pushing buttons? No, mother-in-laws?
Only if you choose me, because I'm the only one that fucking pushes buttons. I'm the troll out there. Although I'm not really trolling, I really believe this.
Okay. Anyway, go ahead and tell listeners what you put out.
It's no strange lesson or brand new thing that they haven't heard on the podcast before. Unless you're a new listener, welcome, thank you. But I put out a thing that basically said, with all of this talk with Spider-Man Homecoming, we're getting all these cast additions, and we're still talks about the Vulture, which is going to be great. And people are saying, well, Sony's doing some spin-off Spider-Man movies, and maybe one of them is Venom. And I'm like, no, we should never, ever again put Venom either in a solo movie or in any Spider-Man supporting role. Just leave the character alone. There are much better villains that they haven't used or they can reuse that have better origin stories and better stories overall. And of course the argument goes, well then they can make a better story for Venom, but then you're straying from the source material, and that's when you have a problem with Venom fans because they'll say it's not like the comics, that's not the Venom, they did it wrong, they're changing him. You can't win because if you do it like the comics, you're going to end up with a crappy story. However, Palpa Kelli thinks she came up with, if you were hired as a new writer, or maybe to fix Venom, or to make a more interesting character that is Venom, because let's face it, out of all the symbiotes out there, Toxin probably has the most compelling story, and even that I'd leave in the pages.
Yes, I could come up with the best story. I could come up with the best story for anything. And this is a challenge that I'm throwing out there, Brokeheads. If you say, nope, I got this idea that you cannot make a story for, send it my way, and I will make the best fucking story out of it.
It can be a segment.
Yes. Story time with Kelli.
As long as Brokettes can give us material.
Wasn't my fanfiction supposed to be a segment too? My fanfiction reviews?
Yeah, nobody gave you fanfictions to review.
Yeah, that's true. And I stopped reading fanfiction because I got busy with Rhythm Heaven and
Fire Emblem
and working. Earning money. So anyway, my story, right? So it's got to start in the past. Like when, what was his name?
Eddie Brock.
Eddie Brock, Flash Goldstein, I don't know.
Flash Thompson? So which Venom are we going with?
I don't know.
The more interesting Flash Thompson or the 90s Eddie Brock?
I don't know. Who's who? I don't know who they are.
Eddie
anyway,
Brock is the favorite one.
Okay, it's going to start with one of them.
Thompson's the one without legs. I don't know if that'll help your story.
Oh, no, that doesn't affect my story at all, because this starts in the past. Okay, so whomever the fuck. We'll call him...
Eddie Flash.
We'll call him... No, we're going to call him Eddie Thompson.
Eddie Thompson,
Okay,
all right.
so Eddie Thompson is just a little kid living in the hood, right? He's living in the neighborhood. And his parents are kind of asshole parents, right? Like, they're real mean to him. And then Peter Parker and his Aunt May move in, and he just sees, like, Peter Parker has a perfect life that he always wanted because he's got an aunt and uncle that love him so much, and he lives over here with these, like, asshole parents who are always mean to him, so that's when his jealousy starts. And then, like, he gets his girl, and he's better at school and all this stuff. So he spends all these years disliking Peter Parker because Peter Parker has a life that he wished he lived. You following me?
Yeah, this is so far basically Eddie Brock's story already.
Oh, damn it. Well...
And trust me, that's as far as it goes. Like, they can't do anything else with the character. Because he just
sure
tries
you
to get his
could.
revenge. No, he just tries to get his revenge on Peter Parker because now he has the suit and now he has the powers.
No, but here's...
He hates Peter Parker.
Okay.
And the symbiote was rejected by Peter Parker.
Okay.
And when they come together, they make like a super little ball of hate.
Well, but, I mean, here's the thing. Like, I would twist it just a little bit. Like, okay, so Eddie Thompson...
Like he's really in love with Peter
No,
Parker?
stop.
Oh,
That's
come on, that
not
would be
where
even
I'm
better.
going.
That
That's
would be
not even any better.
Hashtag Venom loves Spider-Man.
No, stop. I'm the only one who can call
I can
romances.
swing you up.
Stop. Can I tell you, by the way, me calling romances? So, a while ago, like a month and a half ago, I went out with some friends, and there were two friends that were, like, talking, right?
All right.
Two of my friends were talking. And I commented to my other friend, who was a roommate of one of the friends, and I'm like, oh, is there something going on with them? And he's like, no, there's nothing going on there. What are you even talking about? And then he commented to his roommate, Kelly thinks there's something going on there. And he's like, no, there's nothing going on there. Guess what happened a week later? They were dating.
They slept together.
No, they were dating. Like, they were boyfriend-girlfriend.
So they slept together.
That night? No.
Oh, well, I mean, eventually.
Well, I mean, eventually, yeah. But I called it. I called it like a month ago. And then I told everybody. I'm like, I fucking called this. This was me. Anyway, okay. So, I wouldn't really have Eddie Thompson wanting to kill Peter Parker. Like, he's kind of jealous and doesn't really like him. But I have people that I'm jealous of and don't really like, and I don't want to kill them. But then when Venom gets there, Venom just, like, makes his hate more, right? And so then he ends up attacking him as Venom. But then, like, when the Venom suit goes away, he's like, oh, shit, what did I just do? Like, I didn't want to do any of this. Like, I don't want to hurt him. I just don't like him. And then the Venom suit comes up, and then he tries to kill him again. And then the Venom suit, and he's like, oh, fuck, I gotta get out of this. Like, I can't keep doing this because I don't really want to kill him. And then you feel for him.
That's already better than... It's basically the same as the comic thing, but it's better because there's slight sympathy for the character.
Yes.
Like, that's how bad that's how bad the Eddie Brock story is. Like, you can come up with a tiny twist, a tiny addition, and it's already better than what they have.
It's because I came up with that tiny addition.
I still think you should love Peter Parker, but...
He's not. I don't sense that anywhere in my romance senses. They're not going off. That's my Spidey sense, is sensing romance. I still think they need to do a Spider-Man story where it's somebody who has the ability to talk to spiders, but they have arachnophobia.
And that's the twist.
And that's the twist. And it's great.
They kind of did that in Batman Begins. He was afraid of bats, and then he became a bat.
Well, he became a bat so that he could scare other people too. But this is like, if I could talk to spiders, and so spiders were attracted to me, but I have like super arachnophobia, then that's just terrifying. Like, I would not become a spider to scare my enemies.
Isn't it nuts that Batman Begins, there's a lot of, this shouldn't work on paper, but it works in film. Like, this Batman is going to be afraid of bats. Like, wait a minute, what? Batman's not afraid of anything. You know?
Batman ain't afraid of no bats.
And to start off this franchise, we're going to go with Scarecrow and the Ra's al Ghul. And only Daniel's going, yay, Ra's!
Over in the corner.
We're going to call him Roz. Oh,
Can it be Roz from Monsters, Inc.?
I'd take that. That's fine. Then Batman could not save that Roz. No, he still has to save Roz.
He's got to save everybody. He's Batman.
All right, on to the news now. On to the actual show. And we were talking about games.
This has been the actual show, Danny. I am the actual show.
So games. We were talking about The Legend of Zelda.
Yes?
about an episode or two how there should be a female Link. Why not? Who cares? Doesn't matter.
The Linkle amiibo, yes.
But the legendary Nintendo... now I'm thinking about Linkle. Nintendo amiibo.
The Linkle Nintendo amiibo.
Nintendo developer Shigeru Miyamoto has weighed in on this topic of a female-led Legend of Zelda main series game.
So he said, "We clearly talked with the team to make a game centered about Sheik. So I cannot say it is impossible to see something of this sort in the future. But in the classic games in the series, Link is the hero and that will not change. For the rest, you have to be patient and see what happens."
How come both Shigeru and Eiji Onuma don't understand that people aren't saying put Zelda in the main role of Legend of Zelda? People are saying just switch the genders. Or let you choose the gender if you want to be a male or female Link. Or if you want to be a prince or princess Zelda. They think the whole thing is have Zelda as the main character.
Now, my initial reaction was to say, well, they're just sexist. But then I have to stop and think for a minute that all of these characters that they've created are like their children. They've nurtured them from the time they were just a random idea in their head and brought them forth into all these tons of games. And so for us, it's very easy to say, yes, just switch them, whatever. But for them, these are their children. And they're probably thinking of it in that way, that Link can't be female because Link is Link. Zelda can't be a male because Zelda is Zelda. And yes, it's kind of a backwards way. I won't say it's a backwards way of thinking. These are characters that are very near and dear to them, and to change them is probably very hard for them to do, to even wrap their mind around that concept.
Yeah, I can definitely see that, especially if you're the creator. We probably won't see any kind of change as far as that until well after Shigeru is no longer working at Nintendo or retires or whatever. But up until then, it looks like, I mean, it's still going to be Legend of Zelda. Mm-hmm. To me, it doesn't matter. Legend of Zelda will be fine. It'll still sell well. And by the looks of it, the newest game is going to be awesome. But as far as the responses that I've gotten, that's the only problem I have, where one, they're not understanding what people are suggesting or trying to put across with them the idea. But two, their responses are never like, okay, well, I can see why they chose not to do it. And really, they don't have to respond, and they can respond to with whatever they want because they are the creators. But that's just, to me, like, get a PR guy in there and help them out with this, because they're... One, with Shigeru, it seems like he doesn't understand what fans are asking. And then with Onuma, it's just him saying, well, what's Link supposed to do when if Sheik is, or if Zelda is actually in the main series? It's just so much weird miscommunication in that sense.
All they have to do, and they just need to hire me as their PR. If they're really not going to change these characters, they just need to go in there and say, we understand the fans' desires to see these characters differently. For me and my entire team who has nurtured these ideas since their beginning, these are who the characters are. These are the characters that we're trying to portray and that fit in with the stories that we have in mind. Done. TCO'd, you told people, it's going to stay this way, bitch.
Stop talking about us on the podcast. Another video game company that is not doing quite as well on its franchise is Sega.
You didn't say that right.
Sega.
Thank you. Except it was like 5 voices at once. Was it 5 voices? It felt like it.
It did feel like it.
I don't know what you're singing. I don't know what that is.
It was Sonic 3.
Oh. I never owned a Sega. I'm sorry that I was not rich. You're looking at me like you were fucking rich. Don't even give me that shit.
You were white.
I was. As if I no longer am.
Reminds me of that Mitch Hedberg joke. I used to do drugs. I still do, but I used to too.
Oh, Mitch Hedberg, you were taken from us too young.
Sega is giving Sonic another go. After what happened with Sonic Boom, they have to. I mean, it's their lead thing.
They named it
That's
Sonic
what they have.
Boom.
You don't remember Sonic Boom?
No.
We talked about the character designs and how goofy they were,
I
and
must
some
have
people didn't like
blocked
them.
it from my memory.
They have an all-new title coming next year, But that's all they said about it. They just said more details will be revealed very soon at San Diego Comic-Con.
Wow. Well,
they have to continue bringing out games. They're not going to shelf Sonic.
I guess I'd sell Sonic off to like Nintendo and let them do their thing.
So speaking of that, what would Sega need to do to truly revitalize the Sonic franchise?
So the only Sonic game that I really played was Adventure Battle 2. Battle Adventure 2? Sonic 2...
Adventure Battle. Oh shit, what was it? Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. That's what it is.
Adventure 2 Battle?
Yep.
I always called it Adventure Battle 2. So that was really the only one I played. Oh, I lied. I played the one that was before that, but when they re-released it for the GameCube.
Sonic Adventure DX.
Yes, that one. And I gotta say, Adventure Battle 2 was probably my favorite. I don't know, man. There were things I liked from both. So in DX, I liked that you could choose one character and then play through the story, like all their things. But then you had to play as Big the fucking cat and catch fish. And I fucking hated that. That was so hard. And then, but in, I don't know, the courses were so good in 2. Like all the shadow courses, like when you're racing through the city, or Sonic with his rolling around at the speed of sound. I used to just play that soundtrack. Like, yeah, but then you had to play, like, the dumbass Eggman levels. Then you could choose if you wanted to be good or bad. Shit, man. They need to do something like that, and then I'll play it.
In Sonic Boom, you could actually play as the different characters, and they got you different areas. It just wasn't executed well because it was incredibly rushed. I honestly think that question of Sega, what do they need to do to bring back Sonic, is one of the hardest questions you can ask gamers. Because I honestly don't think, one, that they're interested anymore in Sonic. I think you have to try to appeal to younger gamers. And 2, the gamers that are in our age, they don't know what they want out of the Sonic franchise because they've given us Sonic 4. People weren't happy because the physics weren't like the classic game. Sonic Generations was probably the last thing that was received really well. But even then, when that released, I remember I was working at GameStop at the time. The people that actually came in and talked about it or that bought it weren't happy again with the half 2D classic Sonic and then the half 3D Sonic and how even those physics were a little bit different than what they were used to. So it's very tough to try to play up or to try to placate the older fan. I think they have to try to go after the younger kids. And those are the kids that that actually played that Sonic racing game. The newer one, not the one with the carts transforming. I forgot the name of it. They fucking love that game. Again, I was working at the shop at that time and they were just coming in talking about how it was better than Mario Kart. And I was like, holy shit, man.
Clearly they have not held a banana behind them in Mario Kart.
Like, maybe I disagreed, but the fact that game was that good for them, and it was kind of, it appealed more to them because it's more colorful and there's more stuff going on, and great. I did not expect that. So I think that's the audience they should go for, and not necessarily us.
That is a very good point, and I think you're pretty spot on with that. That's the direction that they need to head. Because, like you're saying, the older audience, they're not going to go for that game. If they release it, it could be just like Adventure Battle 2, and I'm still not going to buy it. I just don't have time to invest in a game. But now that you talk about it, I do want to go back and play that game. But I don't have time! Can this be the reasons I don't have time?
It could be. What if they did remakes, like full-on remakes to the Sonic Adventure series?
I still don't think people would be happy. You'd get it, and then people would go, oh, I don't like that it's not in 2D. It's in all 3D and weird now.
Well, Sonic Adventure was in 3D.
Well, I know, but like if you went way back, the older ones. The older audience is never going to be happy at this point. They're a lost cause. Fuck you all. We're going after the kid audience.
Sell to kids.
Something, though, that's not going to be sold to anyone is Batman Return to Arkham, because just 1 month after its announcement, it has been delayed indefinitely.
We have a quote here from Warner Bros. Interactive that was actually published on the game's official forums, and it reads, after reviewing the progress of the project, the team at WB Games has decided to delay the release of Batman Return to Arkham to give the team at Virtuous Games additional time to deliver a polished Batman Arkham game experience. We do not have a release date yet, and will be sure to communicate that once we are sure the game will be ready. We know this is disappointing news, but we feel the extra time will allow the team to create the best gaming experience for our fans.
So somebody wasn't meeting deadline, or somebody pushed over a computer in the lab and destroyed all their work.
Virtuous Games is not Rocksteady. So this is a third party that I'm assuming generally is just in charge of doing HD ports or HD remakes to more classic games. I haven't looked them up, but obviously it's not Rocksteady. And Warner Brothers is gonna probably be cheaper or at least save some money than trying to hire Rocksteady, who's currently working on the Batman VR game, to try to do something that is just gonna be a re-release of the two best Batman games.
I want Virtuous Games to have like a vendetta against Rocksteady. So like they've spent years building themselves up just for this moment, and then they wiggled in there, and then they destroyed it all. Like they're gonna fuck up the whole game and just laugh as it goes down in flames.
And ruin their own company in the process.
This is all they've wanted for all these years. It's fine.
This game was originally scheduled for July 26th on the PS4 and the Xbox One. And it was going to be a re-release of Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, containing all of the DLC.
It was supposed to come out for my birthday. It's not like I was going to buy it anyway. Whatever.
I don't think I was either, honestly. Like, I love Arkham City, but I've kind of like, I beat it. I got all the Riddler trophies. I don't know if I can... I'm 28. Like, I don't know if I can go through all that again.
We're getting old now, man. We don't...
Someone in their 40s is like, fuck you guys.
I wish I was 20
No, it's just tougher. It's tougher with a full-time job and getting more and more tired every day.
Yeah. It's like, it's my bedtime already. I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh man, I gotta go to bed, sleep my full 9 hours so that I can get up and be tired tomorrow.
Just keep up with Warner Brothers Interactive if you are looking forward to returning to Arkham. But now we have our monthly segment. Moving on to the small screen. What's new on Netflix for July 2016?
So, of course, there are a ton of these. You're welcome to Google it and get the full list. We just list what pertains to us or what we find interesting. So we just have a few for this month. First is Back to the Futures, parts 1 through 3.
I think that's going to be pretty big for Netflix. There's an ongoing comic going on right now with Back to the Future. It's a title. It's a set of movies that people are going to love for a very, very long time. I mean, it's going to be generations later. Even then, that I still think we'll be watching these movies. So good on Netflix for picking these up. Next on the list is Batman the Movie from 1966.
Wow.
That used to be on Netflix, I want to say about 2 years ago.
Yeah?
And now it's back on.
We also have Catwoman from 2004.
If you want a bad movie night,
If you...
Catwoman, Halle Berry, Storm.
There you go. That is not something I'll be watching.
Gladiator.
I've never seen that movie.
It's pretty good. Back when it came out, it was massive. People adored that movie, and I think it won several Oscars as well. So I think it's worth the watch.
Yep.
Joaquin Phoenix is awesome in it.
We also have Hey Arnold, the movie.
Working that nostalgia there, Nickelodeon really trying to bank on their older TV shows and their older cartoons.
Is that the one where we find out what his last name is?
I believe so. I don't remember what his fucking last name was though. Oh, you know what it was? It was what his grandpa always... Short Man.
Was it Short Man or was it Little Man?
No, it was Short Man. But it was like one word. And the whole time that's what grandpa was calling him.
Hey, yeah, because I remember I was go, hey, Short Man, and then you told me that and my mind was blown. I was like, it's been here all along. And then, like, I start seeing symbols on the walls and everything starts connecting. It all leads back to the Illuminati. I don't know.
Also, Mean Girls from 2004.
I liked that movie. That was on Netflix a while ago, too.
I think
I watched it there.
And so were the sequels. Mean
There
Girls
was a sequel to Mean Girls?
I didn't actually see Mean Girls until years after it released. And I remember when it came out, a lot of guys and girls in my school enjoyed the movie. I was in high school at the time. And I always thought it was something that was aimed at girls, but apparently not. Like, both guys and girls liked it, and they thought it was fun. And I saw it years later, and I think I remember liking it okay. I probably have to give it another watch.
I saw it in high school. And I remember liking it okay, but I didn't really relate too much because I went to a private school. I wasn't rich, Danny.
I'm pretty sure private schools cost money.
They did. They do. Anyway, so I went to private school, but I remember having a friend at the time who used to be in public school, and she loved the movie because she goes, this is exactly what happens at public school. Like, this reminds me of school so much. So maybe if I had gone to public school, it would have been different, but I still enjoyed it. I watched it not too long ago, within the last year, for sure. I watched it again. And, I mean, I was amused, but I was doing other things at the time, so it was like background noise.
Next on the list is The Big Short, which we saw.
Yes.
It was the big market crash from about 10 years ago.
It was talking about the housing crash. Was that 10 years ago already? Yeah, almost.
It's a good one. I think you should definitely check it out, especially now that it's going to be on Netflix.
Yep, it's very, very informative, and just kind of explains why all of that happens. Kind of makes you much more cautious about purchasing a house or the way you go about purchasing it. And from what I've heard from people is we might see this happen again.
Yeah, the trend is coming back, and we're getting the exact same signs.
Because nobody learned. So definitely very informative. Check it out. That's The Big Short.
Final one is The Adventures of Puss in Boots Season 3 for any brokettes out there with kids.
Or Danny's who like Puss in Boots.
He was my favorite part of the Shrek series.
Yes, and you've seen his movie, and you watch
I have seen his movie.
You watch his shows.
Saw season 1.
Yes, so don't be saying, oh, if you got kids, you'll like this. No, you're going to watch this too.
Nothing wrong with that. That's the only cat I like is Puss in Boots.
Okay. That's only because he's Antonio Banderas.
Can't beat that. He's a Zorro cat. Like, how can you top that? You can't. They need to do a crossover with Puss in Boots, Speedy Gonzales,
There's no other
the Taco
Hispanic.
Bell dog. Like, my people only have so many of these characters. That's why we take these racist stereotypes and like, cool, fine, we're happy with this.
Go with it. That's
representation.
Cool. Yes.
It's the only thing we have.
I feel like there's got to be another Mexican character out there somewhere.
Oh, Pikachu Libre.
Okay, he can be in there too.
Halucha. Ludicolo.
Who?
Ludicolo, that's the one with the sombrero and he's got the
Oh.
he looks like he's wearing a poncho.
Yeah, and he's got maracas.
Did he have I forgot about that.
I'm pretty sure he has maracas. And he looks like a lily pad. No.
His little form does, and he's got like a mustache, and the lily pad looks like a sombrero as well.
I never even got that. Wow, Pokemon.
What's more racist, that or Jinx?
I don't know. The Donald Trump ferret is pretty racist too.
What was that thing's name? I forgot. We were just talking about that new Pokemon too. But yeah, there you go, Brokettes. That is what's new on Netflix. Again, for the full list, Google what's new on Netflix, July 2016.
We also got some updated news on 20th Century Fox's future for the X-Men movies.
It turns out that the studio's keeping all of this very close, and they're not revealing as much as they have in the past. We do know that there's going to be a Wolverine movie next year. Mm-hmm. We don't know if it's going to be Old Man Logan, although it's pretty much confirmed that it's Old Man Logan. But producer Simon Kinberg had this to say about Wolverine 3.
I can only tell you that it's going extremely well, and that's about all I will tell you about it. We want it to be discovered the way that we used to watch movies a long time ago when you didn't know everything about them before you went to see them.
And that's the end quote. Wolverine 3 is scheduled to release currently for March 3rd, 2017. So what do you think about that quote of not knowing as much about the movie before it releases?
I think two things. Thing number one is I actually really enjoy that. I don't like seeing all the funny parts of the movie before you actually get to see it. I do like discovering a movie along with things. Okay, so that's what I think about. I'm like, oh, cool, I hope more movies do that. Second thing, so it's not going very well, is it, guys?
What makes you say that?
You have nothing to show us, so...
It could be a lie, you're right. Maybe it is just a lie, like, oh,
He's
shit.
got a good PR person.
That is, it fucking fooled me. Like, look, the whole argument of, these movies are showing too much. They're showing everything in the trailer. Well, listen to fucking Daniel when he told you 6 months before a movie's released, don't watch any of the trailers. Because within those 6 months, that's where they're going to start putting out the big guns, starting to show off some of the bigger scenes in the movie to try to market, to try to get you in that theater. You paid a ticket. Whatever you don't discover after that is on you. So that's why I'm always saying, especially with the marketing right now, within 6 months, don't check out the full trailer. Enjoy the teaser. Leave it at that. Don't read articles on Newsarama. Or rather, don't click on the fucking articles on Bleeding Cool, Latino Review, Newsarama.
Don't go on Facebook. Don't go on Twitter.
Well, especially the week of release. That's where it gets really tough to like try to avoid the spoilers. The spoiler for X-Men Apocalypto, that one got spoiled for me just from Twitter alone.
Move into a cabin with no electricity.
Just look, at the very least, avoid the trailers. Within 6 months, no more trailers. You're already going to go pay to see it. You don't need to see them.
But at the same time, it's okay if studios don't give away as much in the trailer.
That's okay too.
Like, what if Suicide Squad didn't put Joker in the trailer?
Twitter would not be going as crazy about it. You remember when they showed off that Joker image? Everyone was talking about Suicide Squad. There was so much buzz. It's still a good thing. Now, showing off those Joker scenes, we're going to start getting a lot of that now ramping up into Suicide Squad in the next couple of months. This is when you should be avoiding those trailers. This is that period right now if you're excited for Suicide Squad. But if you watch the trailer and then complain that they showed too much, that's on you, because guess what? If you avoid the trailers within those 6 months, you're stuck with the 2 teasers from before. That's what the trailers, quote-unquote, used to be back in the day. You'd get 1 or 2 trailers and that's it.
This has been a PSA from Daniel from the Reasons I'm Broke podcast. Thank you.
And there you go. Off my little rant there.
I agree, but I also think it's smart not to show as much, but I also think they're hiding something.
And now we move into our comic book news. Here we have the top 10 advance reorders for June.
So advanced reorders are when a retailer increases their comic orders ahead of sale. These showcase how retailers are reacting to supply and demand.
So let's say your shop ordered 100 copies of Nightwing. You're seeing that Rebirth is fucking taking off like it is now, and you're like, holy shit, let's add another 200 to Nightwing. So whatever it may be, they're returnable. You might as well
300 Nightwing.
Yes, 300 Nightwings. You can return them. Why not fucking order 1,000? It doesn't matter. You can return the extra copies.
You out your mind. But this is why I work in food service and not retail. Because I'm like, no, don't cook so many burgers.
So these are the top 10 titles that had the most advanced reorders for last month. So at the number 10 spot, we have Wonder Woman number 2, The Variant.
Wonder Woman was a great book. Definitely something that you should be ordering up on. At number 9, we have Detective Comics number 936.
That's probably the one that has lasted the longest on the shelf out of all the DC Rebirth titles, but I think that's also because it's not a number 1 on the cover. And that's I've seen a lot of casual buyers come in like, oh, do you have the Batman number 1? They're oblivious to Detective Comics because it doesn't have a number 1 on it. And like it or not, that number 1 sells books. At the number 8 spot is New Superman number 1, The Variant.
Number 7 is Nightwing Rebirth number 1, also The Variant.
At number 6, The Return of Wonder Woman number 2 again, but this time it's the main cover.
Number 5 is Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps, Rebirth number 1. That is the longest title in the world.
You notice so far these are all DC titles?
Yeah.
At number 4, Flash number 2, the main cover.
Number 3 is New Superman number 1, also the main cover.
That New Superman, that's the Chinese Superman, which we're going to read about very soon. Only time will tell on how long this brand new series will last. People ask for brand new characters all the time. Let's see if they come out and support a brand new character. At the number 2 spot is Nightwing Rebirth number 1, main cover. Dick Grayson. Many fans out there, that book is going to sell out within the fucking day. I guarantee you. Day 1, it's going to be gone.
And the number 1 most advanced reordered book is Civil War number 3, Midnight Launch Variant.
Womp, 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 womp.
It did take the number 1 spot, so don't be womp womp womping.
I don't know why. I honestly do not know why.
Because everybody ordered 1 and another person ordered 1.
It's bizarre because Civil War does not have buzz. It's really weird. And maybe some people are blaming Disney. They're like, we have a movie coming out, bring out a Civil War. But I don't necessarily blame them because I probably would have done something similar. You have a movie coming out called Civil War. Put out something with Civil War in it so that people can say, the casual buyers, I just saw the Civil War movie. I'm going to buy the Civil War book. Now, here's where it failed, though, and this is why it was a bad idea and why I probably would have been fired, is because it's called Civil War 2. People that did see Civil War are coming in and they're buying the original Civil War, and they're ignoring the sequel. And that's the issue right there. Like, if anything, Civil War 2 maybe should have come out 6 months later, but then I probably could have been saying, well, they missed that window of opportunity to try to sell up. I think it's just that the story is simply not as compelling as it could have been. And to a lot of buyers especially, I'm hearing the reflection of it seems like a cash-in as opposed to a sequel that can stand up to the original.
I did not read it, because I don't care.
It's really weird. I like Brian Michael Bendis a lot. We're reading his Miles Morales Spider-Man series, and we're enjoying that. But when it comes to this event, it's just not cutting it. It's the story of what happens when you have so much power that can foresee the future. You have a mutant, an inhuman, whatever you want to call them, that can see into the future and see the disastrous future. So when they go and try to prevent that future, and this is Captain Marvel right now, she's going with her team trying to prevent that future, it's inadvertently creating that disastrous future.
That's always what happens.
And then Iron Man is on the other side of, don't use him at all, ever. This is what happens when too much power is used. And instead, he wants to try to figure out how to harness this himself and to keep it under control at the same time. That's basically the story right now.
Boring.
And I don't know, it's not as effective as superheroes registering themselves. You have to give up your secret identity. Like, that is so basic to what a superhero is. Mm-hmm. And this is more like what a superhero's powers and how far you should take it or how much you should trust them.
I'll write a Civil War book.
Do you have an idea already?
I'm formulating one.
Maybe next week.
You are trying to feed me healthy food, and I don't want it. There you go. Civil War. Boom.
But we do have some comment section reactions. Not Nerd Rage reactions, but instead some just simple reactions from fans on this top 10
section reaction.
So the first quote here is, fans gave enough of an idea that they were done with DC, and the retailers ordered accordingly. But they found out that they actually wanted to buy and read the Rebirth books. Because again, it goes back to people don't know what they want. They really don't. They do not. Until they actually see it, then they want it.
We have another one. I have a pull list, thank God. Still, it's been quite a shock coming into both stores and seeing empty racks with sold out signs for every Rebirth book. First time this has happened in 5 years, and if my memory serves me, the sales are greater this time than they were for the New 52.
I was not working in the comic industry with the New 52. You remember too how big that was. Mm-hmm. And this is fucking massive, so I can't say which one's bigger. I'd have to find out. I'd have to actually look at the numbers. But, I mean, it's really bizarre seeing completely sold out DC books that are not Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn, Batman. You know, it's Aquaman selling out, and Green Lantern is selling out.
What about Ocean Master?
Still no Ocean Master book. That has to happen. I don't know where that is.
Come on.
That, Shazam.
Yeah. Ocean Master, Shazam, same thing.
And the rest. Mm-hmm. I wonder if Ocean Master will show up in Justice League Action. Cartoon for kids, you know, yeah, Ocean Master.
Perfect. Hi, kids. Whoa!
And the last quote, and this refers to that number 2 spot of Nightwing, power to the dick.
This is referring to Ocean Master. Thank you.
Saw no Aquaman books on that list.
Well, I'm glad that DC is doing so well.
9 out of the 10 advance reorders. Let's see if they can keep up the momentum.
Hopefully.
Now, before we move into our comic book reviews of the week and surprise listeners,
surprise,
2 movie reviews.
Ooh.
Spoiler-filled reviews for Independence Day Resurgence.
Awesome.
And Disney's Finding Dory.
Yes.
Those 2 reviews are going to be at the very end of the show. That way, if listeners haven't seen those 2 movies, they can go ahead and sign off after the Flash number 1 review. But those will be at the very end of the show. But first, our Patreon shout-outs
of the week.
First, we have Alexander on Twitter at SwordfishShow. He has a YouTube channel where he does tons of Let's Plays and reviews at purpleswordfish.com.
Our second shout out goes to Christopher, who is at The Irish on Fire.
Huge supporter to a lot of independent podcasts out there. So thank you, Christopher. Thank you, Alexander. And of course, at Swordfish Show, as I mentioned before, he has a YouTube channel. Recently, there was a purge on YouTube in which a ton of accounts were deleted or suspended. And both Alex and us lost a good amount of subscribers on YouTube. Oh. So, if anything, if you're already following Alex on Twitter or Christopher on Twitter as well, make sure to head on over to purpleswordfish.com to check out his channel and help him out in this purge and to try to lessen that blow that YouTube has put across the fucking internet.
How many listeners did we lose? Subscribers?
How many subscribers did we lose? We lost over 10. I think we lost about 18.
I thought you were going to say like 100.
Well, when it comes to, we have 311 subscribers on YouTube, which is probably the smallest amount. We have less subscribers on YouTube than we have followers on Tumblr. Like that.
We have a Tumblr?
We have a Tumblr, yeah.
Oh.
It's actually, you can find the link on thereasonsimbroke.com to the Tumblr, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere you can find us.
Do we have the Instagram?
We have Instagram as well.
I want to learn the Instagram.
Instagram's a lot of fun, but it's mainly picture-based.
Yeah.
So just share a ton of pictures.
I am a master photographer.
But for YouTube, so we were saying 19 subscribers is
18.
a bigger deal. For 18 subscribers is a bigger deal for us because we only have 311 subscribers on YouTube. And I think a lot of that is we don't cultivate that as much as we did the podcast.
292.
The purge is continuing. Yeah, it's just, we just don't cultivate the YouTube channel as much. We do the unboxings, which is great, but that's always a sort of like a secondary project to the actual show that listeners are listening to right now. It's always the podcast that we want to make sure is on time, out there, edited, released, and that we have all of our time and resources put into that. And then when we have extra time throughout the week, that's when we do the Let's Plays, the unboxings, that kind of thing. So we also put up the podcast on YouTube for any listeners that don't have iTunes or don't want to use iTunes. And we do have listeners that just listen to the podcast on YouTube, which is great. But YouTube is a platform, of course, for video content. And that's not mainly what The Reasons I'm Broke is about. But hopefully in the future, as we continue to do this, we'll have more time to do more things with that channel.
All this to say, thank you guys so much for being Patreon supporters. It's because of you that we're able to put out this show, to have Alphonic, where you can hear my voice in high definition. Without you guys, this wouldn't be possible.
We also want to thank decalavenue.com for helping us out at the $5 Patreon tier. If you also want to support us on Patreon, get your monthly shout out, and also get some of the other perks at the different tiers, you can head on over to patreon.com/thereasonsimbroke.
But of course, guys, our podcast will always be free. The best thing you can do for us is just to like our show, to share it with your friends, to leave us a review on iTunes. That helps other people find us as well.
So as mentioned earlier, we have 2 comic book reviews. The first one is Detective Comics number 935, written by James Tynion IV, art by Eddie Barrows, and colors by Adriano Lucas.
This is continuing the storyline that we saw 2 weeks ago, where we have, I don't remember all their names, Robin.
Red Robin,
and Clayface.
That's right.
And those are the only 2 I care about.
Don't forget Batman.
Oh, and Batman.
Batwoman.
And 2 other people.
Stephanie Brown, spoiler.
It's spoilers. No, it's really, her name's Spoiler. You've always confused me when you talk about her. And you're like, oh yeah, spoiler. And I'm like, what's the spoiler? Just tell me.
And Orphan was the other one.
Yes. And Batman's like, okay, I'm going to make this team. And you're all going to, I can't do my Batman voice. Anyway, he says, go ahead.
I'm going to make this team. And you're going to follow it.
Pretty much. And then he just trains them. And they're going to go do cool things.
It's a book for Batwoman fans, especially. Like I shared one of the covers of Detective Comics on Tumblr, and it got tons of traction because there's a shit ton of Batwoman fans that are actually following Detective Comics.
That's awesome.
And for a good reason, because they do focus on her a lot. And anyone that was a Batwoman fan and was kind of missing her series after the cancellation with the New 52, check out Detective Comics, because it's her working hand in hand with Batman, as much as you can work hand in hand with Batman.
The thing that I really like about this book so far, and we get to see more in this issue than we did the last one, is there's still a lot of secrets being kept from other characters and from the readers. So there were at least twice that I remember where some character would be like, oh, you aren't going to tell him? And they're like, no, not yet. It's like, whoa, what do you got to tell me? You can tell me. I'm not going to tell. So there's still a lot of mystery. I feel like we're building up to something really epic with this series.
I'm still curious as to who the new villain or villains are. I'm getting a lot of reflections about the Arkham Knight, about the other anti-Batmen that have been in Batman's past. So I don't know what they're really going to go with this time around, but I think it's going to end up being a trust story for Batman, in which
for sure
his Bat family is probably going to end up saving him at some point.
Our next book that we have to cover is The Flash #1. This is written by Joshua Williamson with art by Carmine Di
Giandomenico.
Yes. And the colorist is Ivan Placencia.
So this is where we possibly get the origin of Godspeed.
Oh, is that his name?
The new character, the new villain with the all-white suit is Godspeed.
Oh, cool.
But this all reflects on the Flash. Never, as fast as he is, he doesn't have time to save everyone. And we've seen that with Superman before as well. He's got super speed, he's got all these powers, but it's never going to be enough. And that's something that has been reflected before, in which Superman says, I can hear these voices that I can't save. And that's always going to be something on my mind, and it's always going to weigh down on me, and this is why I can never stop. And we get something similar with the Flash as well, because he knows he's the fastest man alive, but he's also he's working in the field of forensics. So he's studying these murders that he wasn't fast enough to prevent. So all of that culminates in this first issue, and now we see that other speedsters are going to come about in this first arc, and not all of them are going to be good.
Yeah, it was really interesting, and that was what I liked most about the book, is seeing that very human side of him, because I don't know that I would be strong enough to have those superpowers and understand that I was still letting people die. And something that Iris points out in this book is, Barry, you're so stressed because you never take a moment for yourself. Well, he can't take a moment for himself. The second he does that, somebody else is dead.
Yep.
And it's his fault. So that was a very human, very, very deep thing to bring into this book. Like you said, yes, a possible origin. Something that I liked about that is I have no idea who this character is, but I already kind of felt for him because they gave you that connection with him in the first page.
That's right. That's how yep.
Exactly. And they did a great job with that, carried it all the way through. So when we got to that last page, I was like, no! But now you tell me he's a bad guy, so I'm like, oh.
A bad guy you care about. Like, you can't beat that.
Like Eddie Thompson that I just created.
Or better yet, Clayface. Fucking use Clayface in the Spider-Man movies over Venom. That's fine.
I don't think anybody would complain.
I certainly wouldn't. Have Warner Brothers and Marvel playing nice.
It'd be awesome. It's never going to happen.
So those are our two highlights. Rebirth still going strong. Now we move into our 2 movie reviews for episode 198. And I do want to remind all listeners real quick, we're 2 episodes away from number 200 again. So if there's any extra content or any questions that you want included in number 200, definitely let us know. Now's the time to tweet that over to us. Send it over on Facebook. And you can, again, find the link at thereasonsimbroke.com. But let us know what questions you may have, what you want to see in the future, what suggestions, what new segment possibly you want to see. A lot of the show is actually shaped by the listeners based on the reactions that they give us, based on what they like, and based on what they want to see or hear. So definitely let us know before we hit episode number 200.
With this, though, guys, we are going to move into our very spoiler-filled reviews for movies. First, we're going to start off with Finding Dory and finish up with Independence Day Resurgence. So if you guys haven't seen these, you really care about it, you don't want it to be spoiled, we'll see you next week. Otherwise, we'll start out with Finding Dory.
Hi, I'm Dory.
Yeah, well, where are your parents?
Hi, I've lost my family.
Where did you see them last?
I forgot.
I was looking for something and Okay, totally get it. Date night.
Many years after Finding Nemo, we got Finding Dory, and Pixar already said that it's because they had to crack the story. Very similar too with Independence Day. There's kind of a pattern here. And they finally got a story that they wanted to tell, and that was following Dory. There was a lot of mystery to be explored with Dory, because we don't know everything about her. She kind of shows up out of nowhere in the first movie, and her journey is only somewhat resolved. She has a home, and she remembers a lot of the events that happen throughout the movie, and that's kind of like the aha moment for the character. But we find out in this, and they filled a lot of holes of what her past actually is. And while I don't think it's as good as Finding Nemo, it's still fucking strong. It's a very strong entry into the Pixar library.
I agree, and I was kind of worried about this film. Finding Nemo wasn't my favorite movie. Definitely not my favorite Pixar. It was probably on the lower end. But I did really, really enjoy this movie. I thought it, from the very beginning, the way it backed up and then bumped into the first movie, I thought that was handled very, very well. You feel so much for this character of Dory. Like, yeah, I liked her in the first one, but in this one, like, I felt for her. I felt her pain. I felt her confusion. I went on this entire journey with her, and, you know, you're just sitting there like, no, why does this shit keep happening? Because it's a fucking Pixar movie. Like, this is what happens. And then when we finally get to that conclusion where she makes it home, it was just, my heart. Pixar.
It definitely would help, I think. I'm not a parent, but it would help if you're a parent. And I hear that a lot with Finding Nemo, especially because it's about trusting your child and sort of letting them go a little bit, even after this long journey of getting them back. And Finding Dory gives you a lot of those same hits of, if you're a parent, this is going to be super heavy for you, especially. And with Dory, the fact that, and the whole time I expected her parents to not be around anymore, to have been transferred, and like maybe the message is, this is your family, is what you have now. This is why it's so special. But instead, it's the message of, her parents never gave up. And they were putting those fucking shells to a fucking eternity. Who knows how far off they were putting them. And that's all they did. And the parents never resented each other. That was their mission. Like, put out the shells. She's going to eventually come back. And until they fucking grew old, I think they would have died with the hope of still, she'll come back and she'll find the shells. Because that's the one thing she knows, is how to come home. And she did. And when that moment happens, it's wonderful. And you're gonna drop some tears.
I definitely did. I think that's actually a trend that we're seeing with Pixar, and I think that's why people continue to come back to Pixar, is there's something you can pull from those movies for every stage in your life. So I loved Toy Story as a kid. That was actually the first movie my dad ever took me to see in the theater. Like, I remember watching Toy Story.
I feel old.
Why do you feel old?
Fucking Toy Story?
Yeah, I remember. Well, when did that come out? 95?
Yes. Like, my first movie theater... Movie regular was, I think, the Aristocats.
Okay.
But the first one I remember seeing was Jason Goes to Hell. Like,
what movie were your parents taking you to?
Jason Goes to Hell. Their logic was that he won't remember, he's young enough. But I remember.
But clearly you remember. How old were you?
I don't know. I don't know when Jason Goes to Hell came out in theaters.
Okay, well, I was 5, and my parents took me to a legit fucking child movie. Not Jason Goes to Hell.
Well, the Aristocats. Let's go with the Aristocats.
Yeah, but you don't even remember. Okay, so I was 5, which is a good age to take your child to the theater. Because they know how to be quiet. And I remember loving that movie as a kid. And now that I'm older, I can pull something different from that movie. And when I'm an adult, I can pull something different from that movie. You see a lot of themes in these Pixar movies where they're great for kids because they're a lot of fun, but there's also a lot of strong themes for the parents. And I think that's why they continue to remain so successful, is there's literally something for every single age group.
Do you know how much money Finding Dory did?
How much?
They made more money than The Beauty and the Beast.
Okay, well, are we counting for inflation?
Smart. Most people don't. Like, there's already headlines out there like, greatest animated movie, most money for animated movie kids. And it's like, all right, well, how much did it actually make? Like, ticket prices are fucking expensive right now.
Yes.
I just wanted to see if, like, you would react to that. Like, fuck that, Beauty and the Beast is much better.
Beauty and the Beast is much better.
Yeah.
But I understand that there's inflation. I have lived with you long enough to understand.
And you realize that when the new Beauty and the Beast comes out, the live action one, due to inflation, that may make more money than the animated one. And that'll be a thing that Disney's like, surpass the animated movie that it was based on. Like, something like that is going to come up, and we're going to be like, no, fucking everyone listen. Fucking inflation makes these ticket prices wrong. Like, all this is bad. Give us actual number of tickets sold. That's the number I want to see.
They're never going to do that. They're just going to say it made more money. Anyway, regardless, I enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a very good sequel. I thought it was a good standalone movie too. I feel like you wouldn't have had as deep of a connection with these characters, but they reference the older one and kind of give enough of a background that you could still follow it and be okay.
Yeah, I do definitely recommend seeing Finding Nemo before Finding Dory 100% of the time. I'll always say that, but they're both good movies, so I might as well watch both of them. But the thing that I like the most probably with Finding Dory, and this is what I was afraid of, and this is the trap that a lot of sequels go into, is that it did not rely on the jokes of the first one. It didn't just redo a new version of the old joke again. And I really appreciated that, especially with kids' movies. That's something you see a lot. So good on Pixar for not following on that.
You know, you typically bring up that worry when we talk about sequels, particularly Pixar sequels. But how many Pixar sequels have done that?
Monsters U did it several times.
But
I like that movie.
They didn't rely on the jokes from the old one.
No, they didn't rely on them. No.
I mean, they referenced the first one, make them know that there's a connection, but they didn't rely on it.
But just because Pixar hasn't relied on those jokes, I mean, it doesn't mean that they're never going to. There's always, I mean, people thought there wasn't going to be a bad Pixar movie, and then Cars 2 came out. So there's always a first time.
Did I see that movie?
I hope you didn't.
No, we did. We went and saw it in theaters.
The one with Mater, and he's a secret agent?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a movie.
I don't know. I like the Toy Story trilogies. I think those are probably my favorite Pixar movies. Maybe Up. Just the first 10 minutes of Up. Just enough to make me cry.
All right, so the next one on our list for our reviews is Independence Day Resurgence.
That is definitely bigger than the last one.
Let me tell you my first problem with this movie is it didn't come out on July 4th.
Listen here, Kelly.
Listen here, Danny.
You bring out your movie July 4th.
Yes? It's
Boom,
a Monday.
Gets a spike, right? Makes
Monday.
money. You bring out your movie 2 weeks before July 4th. You get a spike from when it releases. You get another fucking spike on July 4th.
You want to know what I think of that, Danny?
Economics 101.
Stop using your logic.
Because you know July 4th, plenty of people are going to go see Independence Day. Again. So Resurgence, 20 years after the first one.
Yep.
No Will Smith.
That's because he's making more money in Suicide Squad.
Wanted $50 million
It's out of his fucking mind.
for Resurgence and the sequel.
I like how they looked him in the face and said, we'll just kill you off then.
We'll use your fictional kid.
Yeah. Perfect.
Honestly, I did not miss Will Smith.
Nope, not at all.
It was fun enough, and everyone was having so much fun making it, and you can tell by watching it that you did not care that Will Smith's character was not there. There's enough of the original cast as well that it kind of carries that nostalgia from the first Independence Day just fine without needing Will Smith. And either way, my favorite part of it was Jeff Goldblum,
Of course.
and fucking Jeff Goldblum returns
And
in this.
Data.
Fucking Data
Fucking
as
Data
well,
that
out
we
of
didn't
nowhere.
even know was Data.
You didn't even think he was alive based on
No.
the first one, and then he comes back and he was just in a coma the whole time, and he still has that hair.
Yeah. His hair's like still the same as it was in the first one.
There's a lot. Okay, Independence Day Resurgence, basic story. The aliens are coming back, but they're coming back bigger, stronger, and angrier.
No, just say the tagline. We had 20 years to prepare. So did they.
It's the first one again, but bigger.
First one, but with better graphics because it's 2016.
Well, they didn't have puppets anymore, and I kind of miss the puppets.
Yeah, I
like
missed
the
them too.
puppets. They're also stronger because they don't get knocked out by Will Smith punches anymore. And granted, it wasn't Will Smith punching them, but someone else punched them, and they were just like, You're like, there's a lot of goofiness still in this. And I'm going to tell you right now, straight up, Independence Day Resurgence, like the first one, is not a good movie. They're not good movies,
No.
but you don't go to see these to have them forever in the Library of Congress. You're like, these are not going to be additions
It's
to
like
that.
it's like Pacific Rim. For anybody who saw Pacific Rim,
Yeah.
it was written by a 15-year-old, but you loved it anyway.
Exactly. And this is sort of, I mean, it's more of the goofiness from the first one. And it's done again, bigger, with some of the older cast and some of the newer cast. Some of which are fucking awful actors. I will say the acting is worse in Resurgence than it was in Independence Day. But guess what? I had a fucking blast. I had a lot of fun. I was laughing. I was laughing at the awful acting. I was laughing at the intentionally funny parts of the movie where they said, yeah, we wanted to reference that first part of that first movie. The fact that the president is out there fighting again, like,
Yeah.
it's so goofy.
Giving
like when you watch that
speeches
first
all
one.
over the place. I'm like, do you just give speeches now? Is that part of your crazy?
Like in the first one, the fact that he's like, I'm gonna go out there because I'm like, it's the first time a president has led a fucking war since George Washington, and he's fucking in a fighter jet fighting
Yeah.
people. Like,
Fuck
that
yeah.
happens. I'm like, yes, like, it's so goofy, you know it, and it's fine, and you love it. And I'm gonna say, if you liked Independence Day, fucking go see Independence Day Resurgence because I want to see part 3.
There's gonna be a part 3. They set it up so perfectly for part 3. They introduce these new characters so that we'll like them.
Discount Chris Hemsworth.
Yes. Chris Hemsworth. His name was Liam Hemsworth. You mean discount Chris Pine.
Well, he's Chris Hemsworth's brother, so it's still discount Chris Hemsworth.
Oh.
But it could also
Who's
be...
Chris Hemsworth?
It can be discount Chris Pine. Thor.
Oh. Oh. I just knew him as Miley Cyrus's boyfriend.
Fine. Fine.
But he's discount Chris Pine because he's in space.
Plus, Bill Pullman came back.
Who?
The president.
Oh, yes.
The president. Not the new president. The president.
Fuck her.
The president.
Fuck the new president. My favorite part of this movie is they boast in the beginning about all of, like, these technological advances that we've made, and we can, like, we defied gravity, and we're flying these little helicopter thingies.
Traveling faster than ever before.
And then we have regular fucking cars that still need gas.
That's one thing that I thought about. Like, holy shit. They probably ran out of budget. Like, I know at some point this ran out of budget.
I'm sure.
And they had to halt production for 4 days. Independence Day, I really did not think it was going to happen because for the last 10 years, it was like a stop and start and stop and start thing with this thing. And when they finally said, like, Will Smith's not coming back to this, everyone said, fuck this movie. It's going to be shit. I'm here to tell you, it's fucking fun. It's awesome.
Jeff Goldblum. And Jeff Goldblum's dad.
Yes, and who hasn't aged at all.
Nope.
Has not aged the fucking day. Neither is Brent Spiner, for that fact. Jeff Goldblum has, but he's still fucking tall and lanky.
And he's hilarious.
And he's funny.
I just wanted him, like, when they were in the Jeep and something was chasing them.
The fucking queen, yes.
I wanted him to, like, make some Jurassic Park reference.
Must go faster.
That would have been great.
He said something similar in Independence Day, too, which apparently he got in trouble for because Spielberg was like, no, that's Jurassic Park line.
Shut up, Spielberg. Nobody cares.
Like, it wasn't an exact line, so that's why they were like, shut up. There was like a slight word alteration, so Goldblum, either way, fucking say what you want. Like, you can tell that even in that movie, he was getting paid. He was just having fun himself.
If they do a third, they're gonna have to have a way bigger budget because we're going in motherfucking space.
Yes. Bringing the war to them.
Yeah.
Independence Day, bitch.
Can somebody say that, please?
Pullman said that. He was like, Happy Independence Day. And then he fucking shot that fucking queen in the face. No, he didn't say that, but he's the president. He can't be saying bitch.
He can say whatever the fuck he wants. He's the president.
He's the goddamn president.
Isn't that what I kept saying? Because you leaned to me at one point. You're like, why is he doing that? I'm like, because he's the goddamn president. Or you're like, why are people listening to him? Because he's the goddamn president.
I still love the part where he's like, there are many reasons why I'm the best person to go on this mission. I'm like, no, you're mind controlled. Like, all these years you've been having visions, and now the aliens are closer than ever, and you're getting mind controlled, and you were just literally mind controlled like 40 minutes ago by that one alien. You should not go on this mission. But this is Independence Day. Yeah, you're right. Go.
Yeah, whatever. I loved up Machete Man. He was one of my favorite characters.
Yes, he was the best. Yeah, I forget the military warlord. He was amazing. Slowly sliding at 2 miles per hour, and the alien's like, what the fuck is this? And he's got his 2 little machetes. I told you to get them from the back. Yeah! He was right.
He was so cool. I love that, like, he learned to speak their language, too.
Yeah.
I'm like, how'd you learn this?
It was all to avenge his brother.
Yes, and he did it.
And he taught that fucking wimpy government guy to be a man.
The funkin' wimpy government guy? That government guy had no point. He could have been out of that movie and I would have been okay with it. No point to have him in there. Except to communicate with Machete Man.
He was a 90s character. He had to be in there. Like that one little stooge of like...
Like all those kids on the bus that we just didn't need.
You shouldn't be doing this. Like the rule follower character. I don't know. He has to have a label. Like I feel like in the 90s there was always that person who later got his comeuppance.
Oh, like the lawyer man. The blood-sucking lawyer from Jurassic Park.
Just like him, exactly.
Who got eaten on the toilet. Nasty.
Always that character.
Yeah, you're right. So this was a 90s movie with 2016 graphics.
Exactly.
Oh, no wonder I liked it.
Watch it. Like Independence Day?
Daniel seal of approval.
So there you go, Brokettes. You got 2 reviews, 2 comic book highlights, and a slew of news. Hope you enjoyed episode number 198. Once again, we do want to remind you, 200 is fast approaching. We do have a list of stuff that we do want to share with you and stuff that Brokettes have submitted. But if there is more, there's no limit to this. Definitely send it over to us on Twitter at ReasonsI'mBroke, Facebook.com/TheReasonsI'mBroke. Or if you're listening to this on YouTube, just comment below in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe, of course.
If you're one of the 18 that we lost, please resubscribe.
Other than that, thank you so much for listening. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Kelli.
We'll see you next week.